Hi, Taehyung lovers all around the world. Welcome back to Taehyung Lovers Worldwide channel, the channel that always stands on the very front line to spread the kindness, charisma, and global power of Kim Taehyung to every corner of the world. But today, pause for a moment, just 3 seconds. Don't scroll, don't blink, because what happened in New York in February 2026 was not just an ordinary Valentine celebration. It wasn't only about roses, not only about a stage, not only about a surprise performance. This was a cultural statement that echoed beyond Times Square, beyond the global entertainment industry, even beyond the fans' own expectations. And there was one small detail that night, that if you missed it, you would regret it. In the biting cold air of Manhattan, among giant LED screens and a sea of people holding their breath, one name kept being repeated: BTS. And among them, the most anticipated figure stood with a calm yet magnetic aura: Kim Taehyung. What he did that night looked simple, but that was exactly where the power lay. No fireworks, no cheap gimmicks, just one gentle sentence: Happy Valentine's Day. Yet thousands of people immediately fell silent. Why? What actually happened after that? Why were there roses that couldn't be taken? And why did one confession about an experimental musician named Jean Dawson make industry analysts speak up? In this video, we will not only discuss a romantic moment, we will break down the symbols, read the hidden messages, and see how one step by Kim Taehyung could shift the direction of global conversation. If you call yourself a true Taehyung lover, you must watch until the end, because the final part might leave you silent or angry or even more proud. So before we begin, make sure you press like, write your opinion in the comments after watching until the end, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss every movement of Taehyung that is always full of surprises. And don't forget, help this video go viral so the world continues to see the kindness, courage, and artistic evolution of Kim Taehyung. Because when Taehyung takes a step, the world is never truly ready. And that night in New York was the proof. Because what happened in New York in February 2026 was not just an ordinary Valentine celebration. It was a cultural statement that echoed beyond Times Square, beyond the entertainment industry, even beyond the fans' expectations. That night, Manhattan's cold air cut sharply between the skyscrapers, while the giant LED screens in the heart of the city shone brighter than usual. In the middle of the sea of people and flashing cameras, one name kept repeating in whispers and shouts: BTS. And among them, the most anticipated figure stood with a calm yet magnetic aura: Kim Taehyung. Happy Valentine's Day, he said softly, yet his voice pierced through the crowd like the opening note of a symphony. There was no excessive dramatization, no fireworks explosion, just a presence that made thousands of people hold their breath at the same time. One by one, red roses were handed to ARMY who filled the location. Hands reached out, tears fell without warning, and smiles bloomed under the neon lights of a city that never sleeps. Yet amid the euphoria, one small detail was born that sparked a global conversation. There are some roses you can't take, they said in a teasing tone. Try to pull them. If you can't, it's because the rose is part of a hidden message. That simple sentence felt like a key to a bigger emotional puzzle. ARMY tried to pull those roses. Some laughed. Some fell silent when the flowers truly couldn't be grasped. It wasn't a technical mistake. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a symbol, a metaphor about love that cannot always be possessed, but can always be felt. In an era dominated by algorithms and streaming numbers, BTS chose to speak through symbolism. When the stage light suddenly dimmed and the giant panel slowly opened, the members stepped out wearing bright red suits, the color of courage, passion, and declaration. The first note struck the cold air like a warm wave sweeping through winter. Screams roared. Some fans covered their faces, unable to hold back their emotions. This wasn't just a surprise performance. It was a collective moment, designed with world-class production precision. The event took place in the middle of New York Fashion Week, in a city that stands as the center of global cultural capitalism. BTS's presence in the most iconic public space in America was not a coincidence. It was a statement that the wave of Asian culture is no longer at the edge of the stage. They stand at the center of the light. One of our editors who was in the city for business witnessed the phenomenon firsthand. Instead of spending Valentine's at a luxury restaurant, he stood among tourists and locals, holding a cup of hot chocolate from a small kiosk, watching a performance that felt like a gift of destiny. "If you have to spend Valentine's far from home, do it somewhere that makes you feel alive," he said. That night, Times Square was not just a tourist spot. It transformed into a global emotional stage. But the story of February 2026 did not stop there. In the middle of a fast-moving industry, one confession from Kim Taehyung caught the attention of music observers. He revealed his deep interest in the work of experimental Mexican-American pop rapper Jean Dawson. This confession sounded simple, but its weight was significant. "It influenced me a lot because it was very impressive," he said about Dawson's music, which was introduced by one of the group's collaborators. In the industry world, when a BTS member mentions a name as an artistic influence, the market listens, fans search, and trends can shift direction. Jean Dawson is known as a figure who breaks genre boundaries, blending rock distortion, raw rap, and dark emotional pop nuances. His music is not always easy to digest. It is challenging, sometimes wild, often uncomfortable, and that is precisely where its appeal lies. For Taehyung, who has long been known for his deep baritone tone and jazzy, soulful touch, this attraction to such an experimental spectrum feels like a signal of evolution. This is not about chart numbers or commercial strategy. This is about the courage to be influenced, about a global artist who chooses exploration over comfort zones. In an industry landscape that often plays it safe for stability, a move like this carries strong psychological resonance. Fans may feel curious, even anxious. Will his musical direction change drastically? Will BTS enter a darker and more unpredictable sonic phase? These questions are not weaknesses, but fuel for global discussion. Because every time Kim Taehyung moves, the effect is never small. He is not just a singer. He is a curator of taste and a catalyst of trends. The roses that couldn't be pulled in Times Square now feel like a broader metaphor. Not every change can be grasped instantly. Not every evolution feels comfortable. But history is often born from the courage to be different. February 2026 may be remembered not only as a romantic Valentine's night, but as a meeting point between love, symbolism, and artistic bravery. The question now is for you. If Taehyung truly brings an experimental influence into his next work, is the world ready? Or will the world once again chase after his steps? Silence is not an option. Because when Kim Taehyung moves, the industry, whether it likes it or not, trembles along. Now you understand why what happened in New York in February 2026 was not just an ordinary Valentine's. It was not only about red roses in the freezing Manhattan air, not only about a grand stage in Times Square. It was a cultural statement that echoed far beyond the city lights, beyond the entertainment industry, even beyond our own expectations. When BTS stood at the center of the light, and among them was Kim Taehyung with his calm yet magnetic aura, the world did not just watch, the world felt. Those roses that couldn't be pulled were not just stage props. They were symbols. Symbols that not everything can be held in our hands, but can be kept in our hearts. And when Taehyung spoke about his interest in experimental music like Jean Dawson's work, it was not just a song recommendation. It was a signal that evolution is happening, that the next step may be braver, darker, more honest. And the question now, is the world truly ready? If you feel proud, write in the comments. If you are curious about Taehyung's next musical direction, write that too. If you disagree, we still want to hear it. Because on Taehyung Lovers Channel, discussion is alive. Silence is not an option. Thank you for watching until the end. That means you're not just a viewer, you are part of this story. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell if you enjoy content like this. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Feel free to skip. Taehyung Lovers Channel never forces anyone. But one thing is certain, help it go viral so the world continues to see the kindness, courage, and evolution of Kim Taehyung. Because when Taehyung takes a step, the industry may hesitate, but history keeps moving forward. And us, we will always stand at the very front line to witness it.